Hello everybody and welcome to my NFL Midseason Awards. The NFL has been really fun up to this point. We've had a lot of great games. And just like any NFL year, we've had some really good performances and some really good players that have just been having great years. And in this video, I'm going to be giving my mid-season NFL honors / NFL awards for the 2023-24 NFL season. That's going to include my MVP, Offensive Defensive Player of the Years, Offensive Defensive Rookie of the Years, Comeback Player of the Year, and Coach of the Year. Now, these aren't going to be my guesses for who's going to end up winning the award. These are going to be my awards through the first 9 weeks of the NFL season. So with all that out of the way, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you guys go follow my Twitter, and let's get into this video. Alright, so we're going to start with MVP, and I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson through the first 9 games of the season. Right now, the Ravens are first in point differential and are looking like the team to beat in the AFC. Alright, so Lamar currently has a 71.5 completion percentage, 1,900 yards, 7.7 yards per attempt, 9 touchdowns through the air, and 5 through the ground for only 3 interceptions, an 89.7 PFF grade. And looking at his advanced statistics, minimum 50% of the snaps, he's first in completion percentage, 11th in QBR, 7th in passer rating. He is the second least amount of interceptions, only right behind CJ Stroud with 1. He's number 1 in QB rushing yards with over 400 and 10th in total touchdowns. The reason why I'm giving Lamar Jackson is because many of the great quarterbacks in the league are having down years. The top 3 guys for MVP last year in Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, and Josh Allen are all having down years, with Jalen Hurts throwing 8 interceptions, Josh Allen leading the league in interceptions, and Patrick Mahomes also having his career high in interceptions up to this point. The one who has the best case against Lamar is probably Jalen Hurts because the Eagles are 8-1. But I think Lamar and that offense, and especially the Ravens up to this point, have been the best team in the AFC right now. And looking at the teams they've beat, like Cincinnati, Cleveland 28-3, the Detroit Lions 38-6, the Seattle Seahawks 37-3. When the Ravens aren't traveling over 2,000 miles, they're pretty much obliterating these teams. Outside of a loss to the Indianapolis Colts and the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Ravens have been an excellent team. They're the best rushing attack in the NFL per EPA. They're the number 1 team in total DVOA. And they're 4 offensively in DVOA. Essentially what I'm saying is the Ravens are not only an excellent offense, but a great team and led by Lamar Jackson, who is just not making a ton of mistakes. Lamar Jackson is having the highest accuracy he's ever had in the NFL. He's on pace to match or break his total passing yards in a season. And the Ravens are one of the best teams to go from the 25-yard line to the end zone. And they're really one of the most efficient offenses in the league, and a big reason why is because of Lamar Jackson. But my MVP standings as it goes is going to be Lamar, Jalen Hurts, and Patrick Mahomes. For my Offensive Player of the Year, this is a really easy pick. It's going to have to be Tyreek Hill, who's currently the best receiver in the league right now. He was the first receiver to go over 1,000 yards this year. He has the most receiving touchdowns in the league. He also is leading the league in yards per route run and is leading the league in yards after catch. Tyreek Hill is pretty much leading the league in almost all of the important receiving categories. While being second in targets, he is the second most receptions, he is the most receiving yards, he has the most receiving touchdowns, he has the most yards per route run, he has the most yards after catch, he has the most first downs converted by a receiver, and he has a whopping 130.4 passer rating while targeted. With throws of 20-plus air yards, Tyreek Hill is first in receptions, first in yards, and first in touchdowns, with 6 touchdowns going for 20-plus yards in the air. And all of that, I haven't even mentioned that he's currently on pace for 2,000 receiving yards and could be the first player to ever do that at the receiver position. Tyreek Hill already broke his career high in receiving yards last year with the Miami Dolphins, and if he can hit 2,000 this year, it might go down as the best receiving year of all time. But my standings for Offensive Player of the Year are going to stand as Tyreek Hill, Christian McCaffrey, who's leading all skill position players in total touchdowns, and then A.J. Brown, who has also eclipsed 1,000 yards. Alright, so moving on to the Defensive Player of the Year award, I'm going to give that award to Myles Garrett, who is having the best year of his career so far. Not only is he tied for second in sacks with 9.5, but he is tied for first in forced fumbles with Trent McDuffie with 4. Up to this point, also, he's the highest graded defensive player per PFF. And he also has the highest pass rush grade with 94.6. Speaking of that pass rushing prowess, he has 39 total pressures, a pass rushing productivity rate of 12.1, but most importantly, he's leading the league in pass rush win rate with 26.2. Essentially meaning on 1/2 of his snaps, he's generating a pressure on the quarterback. Under a new defensive coordinator in Jim Schwartz, Myles Garrett has seemed to be unlocked and is breaking every game pretty much. He's registered a sack in every but 2 of his games played. He had incredible games like against Cincinnati in week 1, a week 3 game versus Tennessee where he put up 3 sacks, and this game in Indiana where he forced a fumble that had the Cleveland Browns score. He's also performed very well in the run game. Teams notably run away from his side. And ultimately, Myles Garrett really is having the most dominant year of his career, even when faced against double teams. But I think the race for the Defensive Player of the Year this year is incredibly tight. TJ Watt is having a phenomenal year, and it's right next to Myles Garrett in dominance, as well as Max Crosby, who's leading the league in pressures, and who also has 9.5 sacks. These 3 players are just having such good years, I just decided to choose Myles Garrett. Maybe the most fun year of the entire NFL season has been CJ Stroud, who truly deserves the Offensive Rookie of the Year award and should run away with it currently. He's having one of the greatest rookie years of all time with 14 passing touchdowns to only 1 interception. He had the most passing attempts before an interception for a rookie in the NFL. Not to mention, against other quarterbacks with a minimum of 100 passing attempts, he's 12th in QBR, 4th in passer rating, 7th in passing yards, the least amount of interceptions, a 14-to-1 passing touchdown interception ratio. He had the most amount of passing yards in a single game this year with 470, and the most amount of passing touchdowns in a game with 5. And that's the game I'm currently showing you guys. Against the Buccaneers, which are a very good defense, he put up 470 passing yards and 5 touchdowns, both rookie records. The way that CJ Stroud is just knifing through defenses is absolutely crazy. He's extremely poised for a rookie quarterback. He's got great accuracy. He has phenomenal timing, and his touch is really good as well. The Texans probably made the best move in the draft by staying at 2 and drafting him, because now the Texans offense is rolling with them being 4-4, and they could even be a wild card team if they end up winning out. I mean, against all rookies from this class, he's pretty much won in every category but completion percentage. But the main concern for CJ Stroud coming out of the draft was how is he going to perform with a worse receiving core? Obviously at Ohio State, he had Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Marvin Harrison, and Mike Ibuka. Marvo is going to be a top 5 pick, and Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave were the 10th and 11th pick in 2022. And obviously, the second biggest concern was his Wonderling test, where he scored 18 out of 100. But his test scores really shouldn't matter because CJ Stroud is balling on a level that we haven't seen since Justin Herbert. If CJ Stroud continues this, he has an argument to become the first rookie MVP in the league. And I'm really not joking. He's playing that well this early on that if he continues this, I think he has a chance to end up top 3 in the MVP voting. But currently my standings for the Offensive Rookie of the Year are CJ Stroud, Puka Nacua, who's having a crazy year as well, and Jordan Addison, who's leading all rookies in receiving touchdowns. If we're going to talk about another rookie who's having an insane year, it's going to be Jalen Carter, who was the 9th overall pick in the 2022 NFL Draft. He was my number 1 rated prospect coming into the draft, but obviously off the field issues caused him to fall in the draft. Now, one important note for you guys to remember is don't be ignorant on why Jalen Carter fell. Like, he was involved in a street racing accident where one of his teammates died. Obviously, teams are going to have a little concern about that. And he really went to the right situation with the Philadelphia Eagles. He had a lot of teammates on this team from Georgia, notably Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean, who were both picks by the Eagles in 2022. But talking about on the field, he's been phenomenal. He has a 90.6 defensive rating per PFF. He's accounted for 29 total pressures, 4 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. And looking at Jalen Carter relative to the rest of the league with a minimum 50% of the snaps, he is currently 8th in total pressures with 29. He's 2nd in pass rushing productivity, 3rd in pass rush win rate, 5th in sacks, and 5th in quarterback hurries. So already as a rookie, Jalen Carter is looking like minimum a top 5 pass rushing interior defensive lineman, but probably already a top 10 interior defensive lineman in the game right now. He is supported a lot by a really good interior defensive line with the Eagles with Fletcher Cox and Jordan Davis. But Jalen Carter, I think, is that X factor on that defensive line. He's just a bully in the interior, and he's somebody that you cannot leave on one-on-ones. He's also athletic enough for where the quarterback can't just run out of the way. He'll catch up to the quarterback. But for the rest of my Defensive Rookie of the Year rankings, I've got Jalen Carter at 1, Devin Witherspoon at 2, and Will Anderson at 3, but Joey Porter Jr. at 4th, who I want to shout out because he's having a really good year. But he just needs more snaps in the second half of the season. He's really caught on, though, in the last 4 games. And then for my Comeback Player of the Year, I have Russell Wilson, who I think is having a slept-on, not talked enough about year. Russell Wilson's peripheral numbers and traditional numbers have all improved vastly since Sean Payton arrived in Denver. In 8 games, Russell Wilson has already matched the passing touchdowns that he had in last year at 16. And looking at his advanced numbers, he's currently 5th in passer rating, 1st in touchdown percentage per drive, 5th in passing touchdowns, and tied for 3rd with the least amount of interceptions with 4. More importantly, the offense has been vastly improved, especially in the red zone and especially driving down the field and converting 3rd downs. The biggest issues of 2022, when everybody blamed Russ and that it was 60-40 Russell Wilson's fault and 40% Nathaniel Hackett's fault. Well, I think this year it's showing more that it was much more Nathaniel Hackett's play calling than Russell Wilson's ability. Nathaniel Hackett wanted Russell Wilson to stay in the pocket and act like an Aaron Rodgers type of quarterback, when Russell Wilson is best out of structure and getting out of the pocket with his legs. With essentially the same roster, Russell Wilson has doubled his production at this point from last year. And I don't think that this year it's the offense's fault. This year it completely flipped on its head, where the Broncos' defense is now pretty much the worst in the NFL. I mean, they gave up 31 points to the Jets, 70 to the Dolphins, 35 to the Commanders. But at least the offense is much improved, and so is Russell Wilson, who's looking back to Russell Wilson form. But for my Comeback Player of the Year awards, I've got Russell Wilson, Tua Tagovailoa, and Baker Mayfield as my 1, 2, and 3, with an honorable mention to Damar Hamlin, who is still the betting favorites to win because he played in 1 game this season. To be honest, Damar Hamlin might win it just because of the NFL storyline that they want to prop up, that it's a heroic comeback story and not a player safety issue. But looking at who actually has performed the best and came back from setbacks or came back from a bad situation, it's most likely going to be Russ or Baker Mayfield. And then Tua Tagovailoa, who came back from multiple concussions and almost retirement. And for my current coach of the year, I've got DeMeco Ryan, who has completely changed the Texans this year. The Texans were 3-13-1 last year, but now they're 4-4 with a positive 22-point differential. Last year, that point differential was minus 131. DeMeco Ryan was the defensive coordinator of the 49ers, who had the best defense in the NFL last year. But the crazy thing is, the Houston Texans are 9th in offensive DVOA this year. And yes, they are 18th in defensive DVOA this year, but that defense has a long way to go in rebuilding. But Bobby Slowick, the offensive coordinator of the Houston Texans, deserves a ton of credit as well. But to see the Texans winning puts a smile on my face. And it seems the culture is really changing in Houston. And a lot of things are going right for them, which is fun to see. And DeMeco Ryan is doing a hell of a job at head coach. My standings for Coach of the Year is DeMeco Ryan, Dan Campbell, and Mike McDaniel. But that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and follow my Twitter at AlexReganNFL. I'm always active on there on Saturdays and Sundays. And let me know your guys' NFL Midseason Awards. Let me know what you thought about this video. Let me know what you thought about my rankings. A side note, if you guys are interested in the NFL draft, make sure you guys go watch my NFL mock drafts and my 2024 NFL big board videos. Those are all up on my channel. But I'll say it again. Make sure you guys leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video.